And it's fairly reliably cyclical, right?
Yeah. It's always well, not reliably because it's a different calendar. It's the lunar calendar versus the Gregorian calendar.
Right, but doesn't it kind of like go like, okay, you got a shit one this time, and the next time you
Yeah,
get a
and then the
little bit
next one will
more,
be a little better, and then then it'll be a shit one
and
again,
then
and then a couple of good ones in a row. Yeah,
yeah. So like
and it's
after last
reliable
year,
that every other one will not be good,
yes,
or every couple, every two or three are terrible, and this is happens to be a bad one. It's right in the middle of the week and right in the middle of the week.
yeah,
And
and as astrolot astronomically, I do understand how the lunar calendar works as versus the
hmm
Gregorian calendar.
hmm
But as far as when they reset the dates, it's that fucking new moon or the
mm,
I don't know what it is that they do. So I don't know if it's like if next year we're
it,
gonna have another good
I don't
one
think they
or
know. Yeah, you know,
yeah.
speaking of astronomical things, did you see that all the planets are in the sky right now?
I didn't see it, but I saw
I get
posts about it.
Yeah, I get to see them every night because we live out way out in the countryside, and I get to see them all. So I get to see. We good?
The recording should be good, but
Oh,
streaming is not.
oh,
It's still recording, but we're not
okay.
streaming.
Yeah, whatever.
So we just don't have the backup that's on Twitch.
That's on Twitch, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, all of the planets are all up in the night sky, and up here where I live, I see them all. So I
Mm.
see Mercury rising, and then Jupiter, then Mars, then early in the morning, which I went out to see a couple of days ago, was Saturn. So you can see all and then apparently, and the moon was out as well. And then if I had a telescope, which I don't, but you could see Uranus and Neptune as well. So apparently, in the night, for a few hours every night, right now, you can see every celestial body from Earth.
Nice.
Pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah.
cool.
One thing that kept on saying was like, oh, there's, oh, I guess 7 other planets. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just figured it out.
There you
Hey,
go.
we're on the internet.
I figured we were when you said we're sort of recording. So yeah, welcome
Yeah.
to Critters in Taiwan, a D&D podcast about Critical Role, where a bunch of nerdy ass voice actors sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons. I am Ben in Chiang Mai,
I am Tim in Taichung,
and we're
Taiwan.
Critters in Taiwan.
Yeah, he's in Thailand.
Yeah,
That guy.
yeah.
That guy.
Hey, listen, we're early. We're a day early today, so we don't know the title of this episode. We do know that
Oh wow! Right.
it's episode 119, but they don't publish the title until early Tuesday morning for us, late Monday night for them. So we're a day early, so we don't know the title. The title of this episode is 119. Insert title here.
That's what I wrote down.
Cool.
Yeah, when it goes on YouTube, that's when we see it. I'm not on Beacon. I don't know if that makes a difference if you know the
Uh, they
title or
they
not.
put they put the episode title on YouTube first.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Beacon has that as a thing.
I
It's like,
doubt
oh,
it.
you get to know the title. Like, who the fuck cares? You know? Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about 119. Interesting little thing about this one. The many of the cast members were evacuated because of the LA fires.
Yeah.
They
And
did
then,
not do they bumped episode 119 1 week because of the fires. So this came out after when they were allowed to go back into the studio. Nary a message or comment about the fires at the beginning of this episode.
hmm
Dun dun dun. Definitely pre-recorded. Surprised they didn't say anything though,
yeah, nothing at
because there was
all.
a lot on social media, a lot on Instagram, a lot on Facebook and Twitter and other things about donating and GoFundMe, and like a few of a few of the crew had GoFundMe's that were started up because they lost their houses and
Oof.
shit like that. So there's a lot of talk about it, and then the episode comes up, nothing.
Yeah.
A little
Wait,
weird. That struck me as a little weird.
you're saying like there was a lot of stuff online, like on the Reddits and all that stuff,
Yes.
about Critical Role. They
Yeah.
were
Well,
talking about it, but in the
yeah,
episode they
and
were not.
right, exactly.
Okay.
And on the cast talking about it on Instagram about how they're help these people out, and Marisha was like famously giving like almost daily updates about her stressful life in the hotel, and they're waiting. They don't know if their house survived or not. Like they're this or that. We're figuring it out, and please be patient. We'll get back online, get the episode up soon. Blah blah blah. And it's like okay, but then you put the episode up, and there's no mention about anything. So I'm not complaining. I just think it was a little bit weird that they didn't do something, but all good.
But a little bit of confirmation that yeah, they had it banked, which makes sense.
Yeah, and they might have the next one banked as well. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess.
It's
Yeah.
it's entirely possible they have the rest of this campaign banked, and they're just dribbling them out.
Can you imagine being a part of that and like you have to keep those dates in mind, you know? Because
Yeah.
they'll say on like the maybe not the YouTube, but the Twitch release, you know, on the day of when it goes live, is that they'll say like, oh yeah, so on I guess they're good at saying like on January 20th we'll be at this place, you know,
Yeah.
and it's always before that date, but
I
they never
think
say
it's
like,
sort
oh,
of
that should be next week.
right. I think it's sort of established that they bank 3 or 4 episodes. I sort of imagine, and I think there's a lot of people online that think this is they come in on Monday, they do Monday an episode, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it's Thursday night. So they do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 episodes in a row, bank them, and then they're free for the whole month.
Yeah. Imagine
Well,
how
not
much
free, but they're free from that table for a month.
Imagine how much pressure that is on Matthew. You know, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
can we do 2 next week? Be like, Jay, oh, yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, and especially when he's setting up giant Superman fortresses of solitude like this one was.
Does he even do voiceover work anymore?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like he's got the month free, right? So yeah, he did Zelda. He did the new Zelda. He did Final Fantasy. He's did a bunch of different ones of this time. So yeah,
Yeah. It's like have the month free, but also his house may be burning down.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of hard to call that a free month.
Anyway, so shall we get right into this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so in this episode, if you're not aware that this is all spoilers, then, you know, well, don't leave, but it's all spoilers. This one, they're engaging in a battle that
whole episode.
at the end of the last episode, Imogen, we had this. That was what I was referring to when I said I have a question, or I have, I am question, or whatever I said. It was like, why is she doing this? You know,
Yeah,
like she's like, oh yeah, and it's like, should I resist or like should I not? It's like, dude, you're becoming the vessel. Of course, that's what it is. You know,
yeah,
and
it
that's what happened
occurred
at
to
the
me-
end.
Yeah, that's right. And then it occurred to me as I was sort of watching this episode. I'm like, they're doing everything that they told the council in Vasselheim they weren't going to do.
Right.
It's weird, right? Like they've suddenly in these past few episodes, and spoilers to the end of this one, they're doing everything that bad guys would do. They've kind of turned into the bad guys a little bit. Right? Am I wrong there?
We're gonna need some more
Because-
clarification on that.
Well, because they told the cast, sorry, they told the Vasselheim, the council in Vasselheim, like with Keyleth and all the good people, even Vox Machina and Mighty Nine and everybody else, all the law bearers and all those the Kryn dynasty, the Bright Queen, all the leaders. They're like, yeah, we're not going to let Predathos out, and we're not going to engage, and we're going to kill Ludinus and make sure he doesn't do this thing. And then suddenly they're like, oh yeah, by the way, let's just knock down all the barriers of the Hallowed Cage, and let's go in there and push the red button just to see what happens. Then they have, I'm sorry, I'm totally spoiling things, but then they tell the matron of Ravens, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to do this, so you better tell your friends, fucking, you got 3 choices. You can run, or you can fight, or you can become mortal. Like, that's what they said they weren't going to do. And they decided they're going to do all this shit. The council was like, yeah, don't do any of that stuff. That's why Vox Machina has to fuck up the key. And that's why Mighty Nine has to go in and beat the Weave Mind. Because we have to stop all of this. And Belcells is like, yeah, hold my beer.
Yeah, that's why I had
Right?
questions.
Right?
Because
Like,
I'm
this
like,
doesn't
what
make
are
any...
you doing here?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I genuinely don't know.
And this one I understand. It's like, oh, it's cool because there's a big old fight, and then like Imogen is part of it. You know, like
I get it that it's cool, and I get it that we've talked about this, the beigeness of their reaction towards divinity, and the fact that they just, you know, they're like, yeah, we don't really care, you know, fuck the gods, they're not really that important. And I mean, it's weird. They're just like, they're setting up millions of people to die.
yeah, if they, as a ragtag group of fuck ups, tend to be. It's like, oh, maybe we're the perfect ones because we're not definitely tied to one or the other, but they made these promises, or as they said something towards
They said
them.
they wouldn't do these things, and then they're going and doing these things. They said they were specifically told, yeah, that's what we're gonna. You need to go and do this, and now they're not doing it. They've just flipped. They're like, yeah, okay, let's go check it out. Sure, why not? Because that's what you do in D&D. But I don't know. I have a lot of problems with a lot of stuff. I was upset about the Ludinus fight a couple of episodes ago. I'm not good with this Predathos fight this episode. There's a lot of things that are not going right, and it's D&D, so you can't you can't really complain because they're still having fun at the table, and that's all that matters. But yeah.
Well, I'm hoping you win the first rollie because I'm interested in all those three things that you just said. But before we get into the rollies, I know Matthew is extremely prepared for whatever, and I'm sure he doesn't sleep. He doesn't cook dinner anymore. He's just so busy doing all these things. And
Yes.
What's the word when you ask an artist to do something? Commissioning these minis, like
that the maxis.
Yeah, the maximum, as Damon
that
said.
Fucking kaiju! Holy shit, was it ever big?
That was slick.
I looked at that and I'm like, okay, to scale. Wait, that's like it looks like bigger than Thordak.
Yeah, yeah, or like on the order of Thordak.
I think it's slightly bigger.
You think so?
I think so.
I'd be interested to see a comparison. We know you're watching. Let's see it. Put it on. Not.
I got things to say about that. What you just said too about going back to Matthew being prepared. There's problems with that too because he fucked up in this episode a few times, and not in like a small way, in a couple of big ways that showed he was not prepared.
Let's get this out. Jeez. I want you to win all the rollies so I can hear your first thing and I can answer those.
It's just nitpicking shit. It's just like if you've got all this time to set up these big. When we get into this now.
I mean, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to have a conversation with you about this shit.
He sets up these huge big things. He's like, look at this stuff, and these it commissions all these giant miniatures and giant miniatures like jumbo shrimp. It's setting up these things and the battle map and everything's all being set up and he's got it all ready to go. And then he goes, then he goes into this wonky initiative that doesn't really work properly. And then there's the ludicrousness of Breas stealing the mask and him allowing Marisha as Laudna to do this thing, and then it gets. I couldn't even follow how they were doing it because it was so confusing. He backtracked on his statements a couple of times, and he's like, "Well, wait a minute, let's figure this out, and we'll do it this way." And Sam's going there like, "Wait, but that's an important thing."
Yeah, like I'm not just gonna have it out here.
Yeah, he just gets steamrolled, and then Matt's like, "Okay, well, how about this? You just roll the dice then, and the dice will tell it." I'm like, I'm all for telling the dice telling the story, but then he sort of allows Ashley to partake in it, and then it just becomes like, okay, but it's you just have to let it be, and it's so many problems with that, like taking away agency and giving it to other players is wrong.
Yeah,
and he made the rules very confusing. It didn't make sense why he was doing it that way.
Yeah, especially when Sam chimed in right away.
It changes the story.
Yeah, because I didn't know after watching it my 1.5 times. It was kind of broken up a little bit. I don't know if it was said in story that he took the mask. He did.
Yeah,
okay.
he took the mask when the matron gave it to him, and then he was like, "Oh!" And then the next episode they convinced him to give it to Laudna.
Right, but
he
made a replica.
He had already taken it. And then I'm sure he told Matt in a message, "By the way, I'm making a copy of this. It won't be great."
So that wasn't.
I'm guessing behind the scenes.
That's what I'm talking about.
He rolled a performance check, and it was probably pretty good because Matt never told Laudna that this would be it looked like a shitty copy. It's a fucking porcelain mask. Like it doesn't really have to be. Wouldn't be a high DC. It's just a white mask.
Well, Matthew said you notice that, didn't he say it's not porcelain? It's some kind of painted surface. Was it like painted wood or something?
Painted wood or something.
But she didn't ask about it. She put it on, and he's like, and nothing happens.
Yes.
And at that time I was like, oh, so the Raven Queen, the matron of whatever it's called now.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just maybe she was just like, yeah, whatever, guys, do it yourself.
Hmm.
That's what
Yeah,
I
that's what I was
thought.
immediately thinking as well. And then it instantly brought me back to Jester stealing Knott's flask.
Yeah,
Immediately brought me back to that. And I was like, that was played so differently because Laura just put her head down and said nothing about it. Sam made the mistake of admitting he was like, "Hey guys, I got my own thing to do here," and then
I
the
don't
rest
know
of
if
the team.
that's a mistake
No,
because that
but
really is in Sam's area
I'm
of
saying
how he
it's a mistake with
plays.
everybody else at the table because they all suddenly know about it,
Right,
and they're
and
and
that
they're
whole
they're and
conver
they're all
yeah,
meta. They're metagaming the entire thing, and that's not fair.
yeah,
And Matt allowed that. Whereas he should have been like, "You don't know that.
yeah,
You don't know that he took it. You
and they,
can't." And I mean, Marisha even said, "But I know he had it, so I know it's immediately him." And then Ashley was like, "No, I see Laudna looking at Bryce like that, and I see her holding the mask, and
right
I can put two and two together." I'm like, no, you can't.
in the middle
Not
of
in the
a
heat of
battle.
battle. Not in the
No,
heat of battle. You can't do that.
yeah,
So it really, really felt. And then Matt really didn't stick to that. He was like, okay, well, let's just do it this way and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's wrong. That changes the story completely.
yeah. I love Seinfeld's kind of. This is always a good parallel for this. Is like, if you were drowning, do you think you could tell me the color of the lifesaver that they throw at you? And
Right.
then the counter is like, well, I could probably guess it's like a bright orange. He's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
you don't know, and you
Right.
didn't notice.
Right.
Like,
Right. Exactly. It's precisely that. Like in the heat of the moment, you can't make those snap judgments like that. You just can't. It doesn't work that way. So you
yeah.
have to play on.
When you're
You have to
trying not to
wait.
die, you're not going
Yeah.
to notice
Mhm.
that, oh, she shot him a look. You're not
Yeah,
going to fucking
and
notice
there's a
this.
bulge. There's a bulge on the side of his belt where there might be. It looks like like, come on, that's not how this works.
I
Not how it
liked
works at
I liked
all.
Sam's defensiveness,
Yes.
because Matthew just said like, and it's gone. He's like, wait, there's no roll for this, or
Hmm.
is that what he said? Is that exactly what he said?
Yeah, but wait, I wouldn't have this just like hanging loose,
Yeah,
like it's
like I would.
tied
Yeah,
onto the thing.
it's like,
Yeah.
why would I have the bright porcelain white mask
Yep.
just sitting on my hip when I gave it to
Yep.
Laudna? No, it's going to be
That's right.
hidden, of course, and it's going to be
Yep.
attached to me. It's an important thing. And he
Hmm.
said his piece, and then Matthew went back and he's like, okay, well, how about this? How about we roll
Hmm.
for this? And it's like, Matthew, what are
Yeah.
you doing, buddy?
Not good. Not good. That's a giant mistake because it narratively changes everything. It's not a good. It wasn't a good look. I didn't like it at all.
It kind of makes me, this is always a area of contention. Is like, are you railroading a little bit here?
Mm.
Railroading,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
is the mask a certain part? Like, because that's when they went to break, right?
You're right.
And like,
Right.
oh, is that when he expected them to go to break? And
Hmm. Perhaps.
and it was a
Also,
long first half.
it also if I'm going to keep throwing him shit his way as well, the area, the effects, the legendary actions, the lair actions, all of those things, he kept forgetting about them, and that's not complicated.
What do you
Like
mean he
all
was
you have to
forgetting about
do.
him?
Well, he forgot about them, like to make wisdom saving throws every time against the.
Oh, he's forgetting about
Because
the
we're in the present.
effects.
At the beginning of every player's turn, they have to make a wisdom saving throw. Every time they attack, it's going to be a minus D4 because of Bane.
Right.
The whatever it's called, the faith exploit faith.
Yeah.
Was what it's called.
Fate.
Basically
Fate.
Bane.
Fate.
Exploit fate or exploit faith.
He said somebody said faith, and he's like, no, fate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wrote down exploit faith, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
It
So
really doesn't.
all of those things. There's a whole bunch and there's other ones as well. Like there's the different things that are happening. It's like if you put all this time into, and I've had to do this like as a burgeoning learning how to DM, you have to set it out in front of you behind the screen where it's like, okay, I had like an initiative ledger where I would have all of my, before the battle even starts. I'm like you write it down, and it's a big long one, even with just 5 players. With 7 players, it has to be even bigger. 8 players, whatever they've got. There has to be like, okay, when they roll initiative, they'll get slotted into those places. But in between them, in permanent marker, I've got written down exactly what's going to happen because I already know. And if they don't, for some reason or other, you just scratch it out. But it's already there, all set up. Like it's a template, and it's different for every single battle. And it feels like he didn't do that. And that's 5 minutes of prep. That doesn't take that long. Like this is it's sort of SOP for all DMs. You
That's
do,
live prep. You do that while
yeah,
they're doing initiative.
yeah,
You get
exactly.
the
You just
first
like,
three and then like write it in,
but I'm
and
saying you
then
have the template already done, and then you just slot in their initiative orders, and so then every single time you're like, okay, down the initiative, okay, it's Fern's turn. Oh, by the way, Fern, you have to do this. Okay,
yeah,
and then it comes down to Lauden's turn. Okay, Lauden, you have to do this, because it's permanent marker. It's already there. It's in
that's right.
type. It's whatever. It's a template that's already done,
That's
and
one
you
thing.
know that.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've just, I guess, kind of picked up on is when he says like, "Oh, we're back to initiative something," so that means there's a
20.
layer action, or
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, so at this point, this is going to happen.
Yeah, and that's in the template. Like that's on the in the DM's template that he's got there. And I always put like, and I know they used to do this ages ago. Many DMs just put a little piece of paper, like a folded over paper over on the screen that shows like from right to left the initiative order, and then you move them around and change them as you see fit. But behind, or I have a giant big dowel, and I had clothespins attached to it, and I could move them around as I see fit on the edge of the DM screen, so they could all see it. It was in little dry erase things where they could write and I could write and move things all around. But behind the DM screen, you have the template that is the order and all the effects that are going with it. So and you can change them up. You can switch them around as you see fit.
Yeah.
It's the right way to do it, in my opinion.
So two things pertaining to that point is that when you have layer actions, which I'm assuming they're going to show up now at the end of this battle, what happened? There's going to be
Yeah.
like layer
Yeah.
actions, not legendary, because like I'm gonna
Yeah,
stop saying spoilers. The whole place is
Yes.
Prodothos, so and he's got one hand here,
Yes.
one hand over here, and
Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion that that little head is gonna turn into a,
That's probably what's going to happen. Yeah.
yeah, kind of like
The-
Metroid,
he's
Super
this
Metroid,
is
when that head
the same
turns
thing.
into a big
It's
ass
what
body.
it's what Abria did with the EXU once, where she in that final battle where she just kept getting it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger every round. It grew a little bit more.
Yeah,
It's cool shit like that. Like I love that stuff. It's amazing. It's very cool. But you could take 5 minutes and run things a little bit better to make it smoother and make it a little bit more watchable. Like I know that they're on the screen, they're at the table and they're immersed and it's super immersive and it's 100% for them. We're secondary.
yeah.
But to make this is a stream, and there has to be some accountability for how this is run and how it's viewed.
Now I wonder, because you got a couple of DMs at the table, like Sam does it with his kids.
Yes, with his kids.
And
Yeah.
then Liam as
does with
well.
his kids. Yeah, and then they have home games. Taliesin famously runs a lot of the home games. Matt runs some of the home games. They have games that they play as a group outside of CR.
That sounds like fun, dude.
Yeah,
It's like this is all business, but like, hey man, we're having like a hour Christmas. You guys want to
Yeah.
play a little game?
Yeah.
I got something for a one shot. Be like, yes, that'd
exactly.
be great.
Exactly.
Oh, how much fun would that be? Where everybody's in, that'd be great. But when we're saying that there's layer actions or legendary actions, are you saying legendary actions also like
Both.
Okay, they're just
All
like
of it.
in there.
All of it. So he doesn't call them
'Cause
layer
they-
actions anymore. It's just at the top of he said in Ludinus's, it was like at the top of the initiative, this happens. At
Right.
the top of and it's usually initiative, I think it was an initiative count 20. So it makes it nice and standard, very easy.
Yeah.
There's an initiative count 20. There is a layer action where something happens in the place. Legendary actions can happen wherever the bad guy wants.
Mhm.
They're just happening. So you can pick and choose. And in this one, should we get into rollies here, or do you want to just talk?
Let's finish this one and then get into rollies.
Okay. No, that's it. That's it. Like they can go wherever they want.
Oh, okay. Because one thing I like about it that doesn't seem to make much sense to me, because there are DMs at the table, is that they all write down the initiative so they know when
Yes.
they're up so they can plan and everything.
Yep.
But then I don't know whether or not they're writing down layer actions or these things that happen on a cyclical basis.
Yeah.
So but they always seem to be surprised. They're like, oh shit. Oh, I forgot about this.
Because the layer actions are cyclical, but the legendary actions most of the time is 3.
Right. He's gonna be like, they're gonna use 2 legendary actions to do this at the end of your turn.
And it's usually with big bads. 1 is a small effect. Using 2 legendary actions is a medium effect.
It's
and
like an
using all
interruption.
3 All three of them is the big one. It's like the giant
All
one.
three. So there are
Yeah, you can. There's
three
an
as a
option. There's
rule.
an option. It depends. Like if you're homebrewing, you can do whatever you want. But as a general rule, you can choose at any point to do one layer action, one legendary action, two legendary actions, or use all three of your legendary actions to do something big.
Right.
The problem with using three is that you can't set up. The minor one is usually a setup for a bigger one. And then the medium one is the big thing. And then all three of them together means you can't do it again until you come back around to your turn. So
Yeah.
you're kind of like, you're kind of risking it here. It's like it's risk reward. So you generally DMs, like they recommend to DMs, don't do all three of them unless
Right.
you're really sure.
That's an economy that I'm just learning about right now. Like I never heard about like three maximum, or I've never heard three being used at the same time before.
If I think about Strahd, like Curse of Strahd, like he's got three. He's got one is like the first one is, I think it's just pass. What's a wall pass? He just goes through the wall. When you fight him in the castle, he goes through the wall. And the second one is like something major. I don't remember what it is. And then the third one is like it's a big thing. But the problem is then if he gets, so this is Action Economy in 5th edition is very, very different. It heavily, heavily favors the players. Heavily. That's why you need lair actions. That's why you need these legendary actions. So the legendary action is to allow for the big bad to be able to balance against what the players can throw at them. Like for a Strahd, it would be like the players surround him. And then suddenly, like one of the players, and if the players surround a T-Rex, they're going to take out a T-Rex. It's easy. It's not difficult. If the players surrounded Strahd, he's fucked. He's done. Like if all the players, if 5 players get to surround a level 20 vampire, a legendary vampire, there's a very good chance they immobilize him, and he's done.
Right.
Within a couple of rounds, he's done. So the action economy for these legendary actions is usually something like, yeah, okay, you attack Strahd, and then everybody moves in, and everyone starts attacking him. He just goes like legendary action, sinks through the ceiling, sinks through the floor, gone. Right. And then the next round, then pops up over here and starts blasting you with lightning bolts and all kinds of crazy shit. And
especially because they're all in the same area.
And then legendary action, out.
Yeah.
And so it's like that, and then legendary, and then it's his turn. He comes back in again. He gets all of his legendary actions get reset, and he starts blasting again. And the players are like, "What in the fuck? How do I deal with this?" So they've got to figure it out. So it's supposed to be a balancing thing. You're not supposed to blow your load with all three of them. You're supposed to hang on to them and use them strategically. Yeah. Especially with hyper intelligent big bads, where that's how they would do it. Mm-hmm. With dumber or not so intelligent ones, then you can sort of, this is what they would do because they're not so smart, so they would maybe do this, and then it's a little bit more to their detriment. But like a character like Strahd, an NPC like Strahd, is a 20 plus intelligence, so he's a genius. He's super smart, and he's a capable knight, and a warrior, fighter, and he's a super capable wizard. So it's like more than triple threat.
That intelligence is gonna take you a long way, if not just by stats, just by like, I know what that is.
The arrogance is like the people talk about Ludinus being 700 years old and being arrogant, and that's why he did what he did. But it doesn't wash with me. I don't like that. I don't like that thing where he's like, these are nothing. These are fleas on the back of a dog. I can just nuke them. It's not like that.
Yeah, we did see that that's not exactly true.
Yes.
Exactly. One thing I did like, though, this might have been like 1 or 2 episodes ago, when Orem did the coolest fucking move I've ever seen in D&D, where he stopped time and did the 2 fireballs, and etc. What did I say?
Orem.
Oops. Yeah, that's what it said. Remember?
Stop. Yeah.
Yeah. I did like Matthew's little thing in there. It was like as soon as this happens, you can see the Weave Mind. That's who they're fighting, right?
The Weave Mind, yeah.
And they were like, they all, in a moment, you can see a moment of recognition on their face.
Yes.
They're like, oh shit, this is what just happened.
Yep.
But they still got blasted by it.
I just went back. I was kind of bored a couple of days ago, and I was like, had some random little bit of time. And I went onto Netflix, and I was like, oh yeah, the D&D movie's on here. I haven't watched it in a while. So The Honor Among Thieves, I went back and I watched it. At the very beginning of it, I forgot there's a time stop. There is a time stop
ran
effect
away.
when they're robbing the vault to try and get the tablet to restore the main guy's, the bard's wife. He triggers a time stop and it goes big sphere of time stop, and it's slow, but they all get caught in this time stop, and I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I forgot about that. So yeah, that's all. Just reminding me of that.
Little fan service there.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of fan service for Critical Role in there. The fresh cut grass references and
Oh, right.
a
You were
bunch of,
saying, yeah.
a few other ones. It's like, yeah, the a couple of other little things about D&D that I'm like, that's either that's Critical Role or vice versa. It's hard to say. I'm not totally sure. I forget.
I mean, with the fresh cut grass, of course. That's fan service.
It's gotta be. Gotta be.
Yeah.
But
with,
I'm keen to roll some dice. Should we do that?
Yeah, I'm ready to roll some dice. Something like a D&D movie, there's got to be some fan service if it's going to be, going to be at all successful. Otherwise, it's just a niche.
Exactly. I'm writing my notes on old D&D posters. Check that one out.
Nice.
That's
a
cool
Keyblade.
That's the D&D ampersand.
Yeah, it is. On a Keyblade. Is that fucking...
Yeah. And then there's Ravenloft.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. That's the village of Barovia, and then Strahd's castle up there.
Man, one earthquake. I mean...
yeah. Well, yeah. He's a wizard. I don't think he gives a fuck.
We don't give.
All right, let's roll some dice.
I'm a level 7 wizard. Earthquakes don't matter. All right, let's get some
Level
rollies.
7.
Level 7.
You called it.
Well, I got a 4.
Oh, hello. Okay, so I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go right to the beginning. When this,
let's get back in chronological order here.
Yeah. So timestamp on this one. So this episode was an entire combat. The whole thing was.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna throw out at timestamp at 1 hour, 1 minute, 18 seconds. He throws out the skein of the Golden Order. So this is Predathos doing the skein of the Golden Order, and I'm like, ooh, this is really good. So he does 2 legendary actions. Then Predathos' turn. So he bunches them all together, rearranges them all. Then Reaving Claws, then does the exploit fate bane effect. And I was like, damn, that's how you play. That's how you DM, organizes things, strategizes, puts everybody together, bunches them together for an AoE, and then boom, and just comes in. And it was awesome. It was an amazing little moment. And that's what I was talking about earlier, about that, how to use legendary actions. Like you do the legendary action right before your turn, because they're going to get reset before your turn, right? So as the DM's running, it's like, oh, I haven't used those yet. Because I was saving them for the turn. So then I can do this legendary action, get everyone together, and wham, 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 fuck them all up. Travis realized it right away. And this is when Travis jumps out of his chair and he starts bouncing around the table, going, no, this is panic. But yeah,
I think Ashley at one point, she was like, "How many turns does he have around?" And everybody was like, "Legendary actions."
Yeah, and then it was amazing. I loved it. That's all. Just a general comment. There's no anything about that, but that's sort of harking back to what I said earlier about.
Yeah. It kind of gets on top of that. I guess I'll and with this. How do you feel about this common trope? I mean, we saw it in Vox Machina. Didn't see it so much in Mighty Nine, but you do see it in video games a lot and a lot of tabletop kind of stuff. I'm guessing that it happens a lot in D&D on tabletops, where it's like, don't kill them. Weaken them, and you have to do something while they're weak. But if you kill them, you got to start over, or you fail.
Super common.
Yeah, and he's kind of doing the same thing here.
Yep.
I'm not going to hold it against him, but it's kind of like, weaken him enough so Imogen can control him to some benefit that I'm still not even clear on.
In this situation, we know that Predathos, this is the shattered form of Predathos, right? It has been weakened and held inside this.
Matthew's been good at it versus he, yeah.
Yeah. It's been held in the cage, sustaining its essence on these 2 gods, and they're just fragments. That's all that's left over. So it's just a husk of Predathos. Not much left there.
Yeah.
right? So that's why I sort of feel like, okay, I'll let that pass maybe, because yeah, it's pretty, it's a trope, it is a thing, but there's reasons for that, because if it was an actual real God Eater, the full strength one, they would all have been obliterated a long time ago. As soon as they entered this, they would have been like, you're done. Oh, and thank you for opening this. I'm out.
I mean, if you can eat a god, does that mean you can eat a mortal? I mean, does it necessarily
Well,
mean that?
we don't know that, and that's sort of the speculation. They even said that when they're chat with the matron, right? They're like,
Yeah.
these are your choices. It looks like Imogen flat out said this to the matron. It's like, it looks like they doesn't care about mortals, so you could become one. You could come back again.
Right.
And she confirms that. She's like, yes, I could, because the rights are, I designed those rights. There's a way for me to go back to become
That's
a
good
mortal.
information, folks.
Yeah.
That slipped under my radar.
Oh, you didn't catch that? Yeah, actually, I wrote it down because she was like, where is it? Here. I wrote it down. I'm sure I did.
I'm so glad we got. That's Luna on the couch, right?
Yes, it is. Right.
I'm so glad we have her in this because she was just laying back. It was adorable, and she's just back there being adorable. It's fantastic
she's a sweetheart.
for TV.
So I've got it written down. The rights the matron design could be reversed, but it would require. She made a comment about it. Would require all of their consent on that one.
Like a communal god consent.
They'd all have to do it. Yeah, they'd all, because
they'd all have to do it, not just all decide that she could do it.
I think that's what it means. They would all have to consent, because the rights were designed in the first place that they had to recognize that she ascended, and the only way she could ascend is they recognize that. So they all recognize it, so therefore she can ascend. So the rights, I'm guessing the reverse would hold true. They would have to recognize that she is descending. So they would, if they recognize that, then she can become mortal, or anybody could become mortal, I guess, if they followed the rites that she did. That's sort of the assumption. I don't think it's been flat out stated that way, but I think that's what it was, what the consensus was.
So. Could be up in the air, you know? So yeah, so I'm not against the trope, you know, weaken them and then do something. Right. You know, and then even Brace was like, okay, so like if you gain control and you stay here, then I guess he's sealed. But, you know, I don't think anybody's going for seal. I think they're going for destroy.
Yeah, no. Looks that way. Yeah, it looks that way.
And in which case, like, I guess if you destroy this avatar, then he could just come back again like Ludinus already did. So it's just like another cycle.
I sort of feel like that.
I'm asking because
I know. I sort of feel like no, it can't be destroyed. I sort of feel like the whole idea.
It's not necessarily a god; it's just a god eater. So, and that's a whole different, perhaps different realm that we don't know about.
Maybe, or maybe it's just that Matt needed to. He's like, well, there has to be balance. So you've got to create some balance. And if they destroy the balance, if they destroy Predathos, then they destroy the balance, which means chaos. There has to, then there's a void, there's a vacuum, and what happens? Well, something's going to fill that vacuum. So another Predathos-like entity shows up to fill that vacuum, to set up balance.
Right, because like gods can be created, as the Raven Queen showed us, the matron of ravens.
Yep.
And they can be eaten,
as we know, what's their names? Ethodoc and
Ethodoc
Bordeaux
and
Ethodoc.
Yeah. They can be eaten, and but I mean that balance seems quite tipped, because the God Eater is ravenous, whereas people don't just become gods all the time, you know. But I mean, if Predathos got out, he would just want to eat all these motherfuckers, you know.
Right? Maybe. If he's been able to sustain him, well, if he's been able to sustain himself for hundreds of years on just two, then maybe he can just take his time with the rest, right? He just like catch one every few hundred years, and
and also
I don't know how that works.
And if he's been hungry if it has been hungry for this long, it might just be one of those things where it's like, hey, if you hold your breath for 3 minutes, that panic just goes away. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm hungry. It's like, are you really?
I don't know what to make of it all. It's very existential. It's big picture stuff. So this is This is more than just NPCs having ulterior motives. This is big stuff, world shattering stuff,
And
literally.
perhaps literally, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, coming up on it. I mean, like, dude, if I see a TPK,
love it. You juicy.
I've been wanting it since Mighty Nine.
Yep,
I love these people, love these characters, but man, if I saw a TPK,
I would be very happy with one. I'd be very happy with. Oh, and by the way, you all die, and the last thing you see is Predathos walking through that door.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
no
Fade to black.
sequel, or
Yep. Fade to black.
and then everybody's
See you
in
in
a
campaign
roar.
4. That'd
Yeah.
be good. I would love that, man. I would love that. It'd be so
Oh,
much.
jeez, what an
Rollies.
end. Yeah, let's do it.
Let me call rollies.
Ooh, with a nice old 2.
Jesus, I rolled another 7. Okay. I wrote this down because my first note is at 1 hour, 1 minute, 18 seconds. Then the arranging things. My next note is really enjoying this. Damn. ...
I like a note like that.
2 hours 45 minutes later, I've been caught in all. I realized that I'd been watching for an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes, just like slack-jawed. Like I was blown away by how good the table was. They were clicking. The D&D, the mechanics of it were just, they were like flowing and moving, and there was no like, I'm not sure what I'll do here. Oh, how do I do that? How do I do? I was like, it was a full hour and 45 minutes of perfect flow, mechanical combat flow. They were excellent. They all had their moves planned. They knew exactly what they were doing. Some was good, some were bad, but it didn't matter. It was still, they were flowing and playing their characters perfectly. Matt was going through things. There was a lot of fear, there was anger, there was happiness, excitement. All of this, it was just good. It was really, really good.
Huh.
That's all. And then that's when, like 6 minutes later, that's when the shenanigans with the mask happened, which as I said at the beginning, unhappy with, because that's where things started to break down.
Yeah.
So yeah, the one little, if you don't mind, because it's like literally it's like 5 minutes later. Another timestamp.
Up.
Mine.
Done.
2 hours 51 minutes 33 seconds. Ashley, oh, that's an 8. Laura, no, that's a 10. Ashley, it's a 3. And Travis loses his mind. Like I had to rewind it 3 times.
I love it when Travis loses it.
What fuck was going on here?
That's 3 numbers. One of them has 2 digits.
Yeah, I got that written down. I'm like, you called 3 numbers, and one of them has double digits on a D20. Like,
I mean, a 10 and an 8 and a 3. I mean, I guess, the 8 and a 3 makes sense. The 10, I guess there's a curvy part. And the 3 has the top of the 3 is straight.
I want to see these dice.
So like if it's turned it sideways, maybe it's kind of like a 10. Yeah. But they're not Ashley's dice, right?
These are Ashley's dice, which are fancy dice, which have been cut. They're like those. I've seen some really fancy dice out there. They're very cool. They're not CR dice. These are like really cool fancy dice that have flowy script on them, and she likes them because they roll nice. I'm like, okay.
Do they? I mean, with her.
Yeah.
With their pedigree? What's the word I'm looking for?
History.
Sure. Yeah. Much easier.
Yep. Much.
You hear hooves, think horses, not zebras. I guess going from that, I guess that's a nice little segue. When they, I'm jumping to right after the break here.
Oh, cool. Okay. The conversation with the matron.
Yeah, and just after that, this is kind of a 2-parter, I guess, but yeah, we're already at 45 minutes, and I know that you got some stuff you got to do, so maybe we could wrap it up pretty quick. So when Ashley, I guess a 3-part. So they sits there and he's like, he tells them kind of vaguely what these things are. Like there's like, hey, choose 2 of these boons, and he says there's this, there's this, there's this, there's the fortification, there's the, I don't remember the words he used. And they're all sitting there and they're like, well, I could use healing.
Understanding, convalescence, fortification. There's a P one. Perseverance, maybe.
There were okay. That's why I kept getting
Yeah.
confused about. There were 4, and they get to choose
Yes.
2.
Yes.
And I kept thinking there were 3 for some reason. My mind just went like there are 3, and then another one came in. I was like, wait, hold on, what's the other one? So maybe I was a victim of Ashleyisms because I was like, what? I thought there were only 2. So
Right.
like I would forget the other one.
Yes.
So when they do rollies to see who gets to decide, finally Ashley rolls well.
Yeah. I know.
And then as soon as like they're like, wait, I got the rollies, and then she was like, okay, real quick, explain again what these two. Because like, she's not good in those situations. The high pressure is not for Ashley. She'll be the first to say it.
She's deer in headlights. Just deer in headlights. That's all.
Yeah, she's a fantastic actress, but improv, not her thing. And then she dreaded winning that shit.
Yeah. So I wrote down what they got. They did understanding, which was the 2 level up, and the convalescence, which was roll for spell slots.
Yeah.
And she was fucking amazing.
She rolled. It was out of 30, and she got 28.
28. I know.
That's insane.
Wild.
She got 2 5s out of all 6s.
Yes.
That's insane. There's 5d6, yeah.
Yes.
So maximum 30.
Right. Yeah, and I mean,
she never rolls like that.
No, not at all. And so I was like, okay, well, that's a good one to take, especially because half the party are spellcasters, so that's a good one. And the hit points one wasn't a good choice. The level up is the good. They chose the right one. They chose wisely, very wisely.
Now they didn't know it was level up.
They did. Yeah, he said level up. They didn't know it was 2. They didn't know it was 2.
Right.
And it's temporary 2.
Because after the fight or whatever.
It made me laugh because Matt's planning that. I'm like, okay, so you've set because they all use D&D Beyond on their tablets.
Yeah.
They all use it. So he's frozen. He knows what's going on. He's like, okay, we'll just freeze where they are now, and then we'll essentially take a screenshot of where they are now, and then we'll bump them up 2 levels, and then when they're done with this, I get to go back to where that screenshot, that bookmark was, that screenshot, and reset everything.
Yeah.
So it made me smile. I'm like, this would be really difficult to do if it was with pen and paper. This is very easy to do with an app.
If this is back in 85 or whatever. Be like, okay, hold on a second. Let me write this down. Be like, all right, take a break. Go have a lunch.
You'd basically be writing down everything on a new piece of paper, and then you put that away, and then you put the other one away. You throw that away when you're done. You go back to the old one. But on an app, it's really easy. You just go beep beep, done, and then carry on. Although giving them 2 levels is a lot because that's it. Going from 15 to 17 is an ASI. It's an ability score increase or a feat, and like
they all got to choose a feat.
Right.
That was crazy
because not all of them got to go to level 16.
Right.
Multi-class changes things, but it still could have, if they did like 3 or 4 levels in one thing, and then they'd be 3 or 4 would be like 11. So then they could go to 12, right? And that's an ASI or a feat as well.
Imagine getting 2 feats because you're multi-classed. If you're just right there. Did anybody do this?
No, you can't. You couldn't do that because there's no combination. No, there's no combination that would make that because you're only going to go up 1 and then 1 more.
Right.
So you could take
but what if you're 1 before and then the next level in both you get a feat? Is that possible?
I don't think it works.
Oh.
I think the math does. I don't think the math works on that one. Hey, if I'm wrong, that's what down there comments are for.
Yep.
Pretty sure it doesn't work that way because
to get 2 feats, I mean, when does it ever happen that people
fighters
level up?
That's what fighters do. Fighters get feats every level.
Yeah. When does it ever happen that there's an interruption in a fight and they level up twice in a fight? This might be the. Okay, yeah. But still.
Yeah.
Huh.
And homebrew shit, like anything homebrew, it's whatever you want to do.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right, so, well, I'll edit that out.
Try to do the math in my head. If you were, I'd have to draw this out, and it's not worth it. Maybe it's possible. Maybe you're right. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So Ashley winning rollers, you're just like, wait, just one more time. Explain these things to me. It's like she was not really paying. She was paying attention, I'm sure, but pressure. Like I said this all the time when I was streaming on Twitch. Like the camera and streaming gives you ADHD or ADD at least. Because like people would ask me a question, I'd be sitting there playing a game and talking to people in a chat. and like I'll forget what the hell I was doing in the game, or I'll forget what the hell the chat was talking about, or maybe
Right.
I'm just an idiot. But, when she's sitting there and she's streaming, she's in front of tens of thousands of people,
Yeah.
and then trying
Yeah.
to listen to this and like giving her that agency in that immediate moment. I mean, I enjoyed it because I knew that she would be uncomfortable, so I laughed through the whole thing. She's like, "Yeah," and then Travis was like, "Say it with your chest," and she's like, "You're right, okay." I'm just choosing this. That was really fun to watch.
Oh, I just rolled a natural 20.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And I have long con ellipses question mark. Yeah. Oh, that might be a completely different point, but we're kind of running out of time here.
Go for it.
It's relative to Ashley.
Go for it.
When she attempted to cast Contagion,
Ah,
that
right.
it takes like 7 days for that to take effect, right?
The confusion for that was about the 2024 rule set versus
Sure.
the 2016 rule set.
And Matthew even said like you can choose the whichever one.
Yes.
But
It's
still,
looking at the new rule set, it may and even Matt's little backhanded comment too was even when he said it's like, yeah, it's not a very good one. You probably shouldn't do that. It's not
he didn't
worth
say
to
what
do
it does, but I think I remember when Keyleth
Yeah.
was thinking about doing that with Raishan or something.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Something
It's like
like
it
that,
takes a long time.
Yes.
But it did work when she did it, but they're like, oh, it doesn't help us right now. You got to wait
No,
7 days, but
you
we're
gotta
trying
wait.
to kill her right now.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It was a thing. It was a funny little thing. I'm like, you're a victim of looking at titles.
Without
think
reading
it's
your
gonna
spell.
Do something. Yeah, not reading the spell. That's right.
Classic Ashley. Clashly. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's enough for that one. Should we do one more before we go? We're already at 51.
I'm good. I actually don't have any. I'm on my last point, but that's all good. I could do one
Okay.
more.
I can do. Let's do one quick one and then sign off. How about that?
Done.
All right. Here we go.
Natural 20.
Natural 11.
18.
18. All right. You got it.
Okay.
18 is higher than 11. Did you know that?
The 18 is higher than 11.
I'm just making sure you. Okay.
I think it was awesome how Dorian got the how do you want to do this with a chromatic orb, and they all were like, that easy?
Yeah.
Wait, no. And then Matt's like, yeah, by the way, here you go.
Of course.
And then the break. And I feel like this goes back to what we were just talking about
Sometimes it feels like. Yep. Sorry.
About the idea that they could contain this thing. It's just going to keep coming back. It's just going to keep coming back every time. And it's not going to get weaker. It's not going to get stronger because it has nothing. It's just going to keep coming and coming and coming and coming. And then eventually it's going to, I don't know, do what? Who knows? It's got to be soon though, right? Like it's got to be soon.
Are you talking about the end of the fight? Or are you talking about
the fight. Well,
taking care of Prodathos?
Both, either. Not sure.
Because, I mean, at this point, the Whispered One is sealed, correct?
Yeah.
So it's not like this new god is gone. It's just sealed for an indefinite amount of time. But for gods, I mean, indefinite could be moments. It could be eons.
Right. I think my point is that I don't really understand what they're doing. This is again, to go back to the conversation at the beginning. I don't understand what they're doing here.
I don't either. I don't think they know either. But they're the ones chosen to do it by the council, and they're already, like you said, doing shit that wasn't agreed upon.
It all feels slightly wrong. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel. I'm not comfortable with it. It doesn't feel like good D&D.
I feel like they're aimless. They didn't come in with a plan, even though I thought they had a plan. I mean, like it all went out the window when Imogen just like, and like people at the table at the time, they're like, "Don't let him touch you." I think it was Sam, or I don't know. I think it was out of character. It was like,
also, then we go back. I said this last week. Like, why is Breas letting all of this happen? Because he was tasked by Asmodeus, or maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's just like, yeah, whatever. Okay, we'll see what happens.
Maybe he's a double betrayer.
Could be
just a betrayer at heart.
It's like, just lies on lies.
Fuck my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
I betray that guy too.
Yep. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm very curious to find out next week. with episode 120, which I anticipate to be the the penultimate episode of Campaign 3.
Yeah.
I think we both do, right?
At most, anti-penultimate. At most. Because I believe that means just one before. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what comments are for. Yeah. I mean, I expect that this will be, the next episode will be the finale of the fight.
Yeah, and then there'll be a campaign
has
wrap
to be,
up. An epilogue, campaign wrap up, whatever you want to call it.
And depending on what happens in this next episode of the fight, there could be another episode after that just to wrap things up. I mean, if there's a TPK, there's still going to be an epilogue, right?
Has to be.
You know,
there?
There's just like a campaign wrap up. There's always a campaign wrap up. You know.
Yeah.
Like there was episode 115 in Vox Machina. There was episode 135.
I would be so happy. They got a real chance to flip things on their ear here and really do something fun and interesting, and make people very upset, but in a good way.
That's what I'm looking for.
In a very good way.
I want to get upset. I want to cry because people are dying. But I just kind of want it too much. I don't think I would get that emotional. I'd just be like, yes.
One of my buddies told me a long time ago. He's like, yeah, you just can't die in 5th edition. So what's the point of playing it? And I'm like, yeah, it's true. It's kind of true, but you're playing it for the fun, right? So
it's a game.
It's a game, yeah.
It's not a movie. It's not a book. It's a game.
Yeah. All right, buddy. That's it. That's all for me. What you got?
Okay, I guess I'm going to say, is it Delilah that the matron was talking about when she said, like, oh, and there's also something on Earth where somebody's trying to go through this cycle of rebirth?
Oh, I never thought about that. Maybe.
Because she just kind of, Matthew just kind of threw it in there and nobody seemed to react to it.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I never thought about that.
Maybe there are more players in the game or something.
Comment. I didn't think it was that, but maybe.
Because like Delilah's still there, so she's locked away somewhere, obviously.
Oh, she might have been talking about Vax as well.
Huh. But he's not on Exandria.
Well, he is now.
Is he? I thought he had the day.
Yeah, the day. So this is maybe still the day, right?
No, that day. Well, okay, what's a day to a god? But you know, they had the day. They made sure that they didn't have to role play it because that would be too emotional. I mean, because fucking Keyleth is doing her best.
No, because this all happened simultaneously. This all happened simultaneously. Remember?
I know.
They said, go do this, go do that, and this is happening, and so that.
Yeah,
it's the same day.
They said like, okay, you have the day, you know, and then like the episode ended, and the next one was, and then y'all had your day, and then now you have this thing that you got to do. They just kind of like bypassed all that emotional role play. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong. They said you have the day, and then they fade to black and go to Bell's Hells. Went to Mighty Nine.
But Vax was not a part of the thing. He was just like, all right, guys, good luck. Just sitting back there,
So they did Vox Machina first, and then they went back in time to do Mighty Nine. Then they went back in time to do Bell's Hells.
Yeah, but why?
So they advanced a few hours, then advanced a few hours, then advanced a few hours. It's all been the same day.
But then why wouldn't Vax be with them on their mission? Why is it Leov Tel instead of Vax?
Vax came in after.
Oh, we're saying Leov Tel shit happened before the Vax shit?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
She came in to try and free Vax. That was the whole reason she came in. Remember? You've forgotten.
I like your word choice. You've forgotten. Yeah, because I went in thinking like I remember saying it. I was like, I'm so glad they didn't go through that role play because that's
because it was at the end of the episode where he comes down. Yeah, and does
like you got the day.
You got the day, and then at the end of it all, you've got the day, and then they that's it. Now we'll move on to Mighty Nine. And the events that led up to Vox Machina being able to go in and do those things, and then they go back. It all happened concurrently. All those three things all happened at the same time. It's all in the same day.
Oh man! So we still might have that painstaking RP of Vax and Keyleth.
Doubt it, but we might get an inkling of what happened.
It's like poor Keyleth. She's just trying to get on with her life, and all this false hope That poor thing, and she can't die either 'cause she's living for so long, and this guy's the champion. Like, oi, the poor thing can't let go. Oi. Sorry, Keyleth. We know you're watching. Yeah, it could be, but like, when she says the cycle of life and death, I have to think of like necromancy,
Yeah.
And she's like, maybe there are more players in this game. There might be one on Ruidus, which is, Predathos, and she said on Exandria there's one, but they didn't say
Could be.
who or what it might
Could
be. Maybe it's the Whispered one still. Who knows? Because he's sealed away, not dead,
That's
not gone.
also possible.
But nobody said anything about it, so...
No, again, because they've been doing combat for 4 hours at that point, and they're not thinking like the lore shit. We are, because we're not engaged in the combat. But
That's
man,
the
when
point
you're
of
in
the
combat,
show.
like
Yeah.
your heart is racing. Like you're trying to figure things out, and you're frantic.
Fucking scared the shit out of me. I'm not used to seeing anything move outside my window, so now my girlfriend with really long dark hair makes you believe in ghosts again.
Ring girl, she almost ring girled you.
Yeah, never saw the movie, but I've seen images.
All right, buddy, let's wrap this up. I gotta get moving here. I got shit to do, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're busy for the next few days.
Yeah,
we got a few things we gotta get out here. I'm not available next week because I am doing girlfriend family stuff. So and that's Chinese New Year. If you're not familiar, well, get familiar, whatever. Got to do some stuff, so I won't be here next week. Yeah, Monday, I'm sure.
I'm certain, and Tuesday is the first day, so I'm probably gonna be busy too. Maybe, or I'm just starting my holidays anyway, so we don't know. Let's just put it that way. Let's put a pin in it because we're not totally sure exactly, but there's a chance we won't be here next week, which is unfortunate because that might be the very last episode. But life is what it is, so it's fine. I would say maybe we go and we just put a pin in and try and figure it out.
Yeah.
At the very least, we'll come back for the very end for the big, what we believe will be the big finale. Hey, man, we've been wrong before, so who knows?
Yeah. And if we have been, where to get in touch.
Yeah.
So next week, I definitely won't be here. Also, in the near future, and Ben and I were talking about this before we went live, is that like I'm going to be moving house pretty soon. And if you remember when Ben moved to a different country, there was a time where...
Yeah, it took some time. It took a few weeks.
Now, he went to a different country. I'm just going to a different part in the city. So it shouldn't take much more than a week, but it wouldn't mean that I got to set up the office. I got to set everything up again, make sure I'm, just saying there might be some delays in the near future. Yeah. Definitely the next week. But yeah, we get the keys after Chinese New Year. So just letting you know that's what's going on. Yeah, might be going a little radio silence for a little bit, but it's not permanent. I believe that was it. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Well then, hey, get in touch with the comments. Did you happen to notice I didn't check the comments?
No, none.
Okay.
All good. I can check again. Maybe there's been something since.
You're saying none, or you didn't check?
I checked yesterday.
Okay.
I'll check again right now.
That's how much we care about y'all. We check the comments almost every week.
Yeah, nothing.
All right.
All good.
All right, yeah. Best way to get in touch is in the comments right there. Join the conversation. Tell me I'm full of shit. Tell Ben he's got everything right. Just whatever it takes to, keep his ego up.
Usually the way it goes.
And I got nothing to promote. So no shows coming up. We're just writing a new song. We'll probably put out a single in the next few months or something like that. Because albums are out, singles are in. So I'll keep you up to date on that as it comes. And yeah, geez, I guess it's going to be a couple of weeks. So if nothing else, don't forget to love each other. And is it finally one of these Fridays coming up soon? One of these Fridays
coming up.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Cheers. Peace. If you're in California, be safe, please. Take care of yourselves. And do what you can if you can. The whole donate if you can. If not, spread the word. Yeah. All right, cool. I think my mouse froze. There she is. All right, peace, y'all.
All right, buddy. Take it easy. See you soon.
Care. Yep. See you if not next week, the week after. Peace.
Word.